Today, on the occasion of Women's Sports Week, we have Aria with us. Aria is one of my role models when it comes to strength and weight training, and she is also very passionate about astronomy. Aria comes from Italy and has roots from Congo and has been living in Ireland for the last 4 years. Aria, we would like to know from you what keeps you motivated and inspired when it comes to your weight training, as you are an inspiration and role model for a lot of people who see you lifting those heavy weights and becoming your stronger self every single day.
Like, I generally go into the gym not thinking about, other people but myself. But I'm glad that I can inspire others, and the more I speak to others, I actually get more inspired to become the best version of myself, especially because women are so stigmatized with the idea that if you lift and you're gonna have muscles, you're gonna look like a man, which is something that I find extremely false.
Yeah.
So what motivates me the most is the idea of defying this stigma that women have when it comes to weightlifting. So if we are seen as powerful and strong, even physically, that can empower us to just walk confidently, and be happier about ourselves, because at the end of the day, it's about health. So yeah, looking beautiful, strong, and just being happy with your body.
Definitely. And how did your journey into weight training started? And well, there are a lot of sports there, but what keeps you passionate about weight training and being consistent in it? Mainly, I think let's talk about the journey.
Well, it all started because I became a mother, and in that sense, I realized how some type of habits would have been very detrimental for myself, because I had issues with eating disorders, and also nothing extreme, but I could tell that it wasn't a healthy direction to keep, especially since I am a mother, so I should have led by example. So one day I just decided to join the gym at 27 years old, and I was like, you know what, this is the day. I started, and slowly it became something that made a difference in my days, because it was the only moment I had for myself. And down the years, what kept me motivated is how not just my mental health was kept in check, but also my body was giving me the results that I wanted. And of course, my wishes shifted down the years. At first, I wanted to be thin, then I wanted to be strong. And then, just like anything else, you kind of have to try everything in the gym. So trying, if you prefer, I don't know, cardio or weightlifting or powerlifting, whatever that it is. And so I kind of tried everything and ended up with powerlifting. And I don't know, of course there's the endorphins. Yeah, but sometimes you just wake up and you don't want to go to the gym because it's the last place you want to see yourself in. But somehow, once I'm dressed and I'm there and I finish my session, I'm never dissatisfied with what I've done. I've never regretted not even one session. So I'd say the biggest feeling that keeps me motivated, not just the discipline, because the discipline can bring you very, very far. But it's how I depend on the health of my body. This is the main reason, because in 30 years this body will keep on sustaining the same type of effort and just bring me everywhere I want, whether it's a hike that I want to do or maybe one day a marathon, so just being able to live in a body that's useful and can just bring you everywhere, and you can trust yourself.
Definitely. And you've mentioned about the eating disorder, I think, which a lot of us go through, and I have myself gone through that, and even I have it now, And what brings that is because of the high pressure that we put on ourselves or our jobs and different priorities and commitment. When I'm too busy and my brain is working too much and I'm overloaded with a lot of tasks, that's when I end up eating I end up binge eating a lot of snacks and things full of carbs, which are not really healthy, and I still do that and I feel so guilty about it. And when you hit the gym or you're involved in the sport, you're working on your body, and then that realization comes in. Now you have to eat healthy. You need to be really disciplined in which
I think we all are in some ways, you know, men and women, and we're all prone to be swayed by our hormones or emotions. And as you said before, it's all about self-discovery. So going to the gym at first may be the easier part of your journey. You know, you are enjoying it because you have the endorphins providing you the good mood and everything, but then you go home and you are maybe facing the same issues. So at some point you have to wonder about how fragile your human condition is in this whole, you know, in these aspects. So you have to start thinking in terms of what type of progress I want to achieve. So your eating disorders, at least for me, become some kind of an obstacle to whatever goal you have in your mind. So for example, now I may be still attracted to some type of food, or like the idea of not eating because that was my main issue. I would always think that eating less would allow me to have better results. So I would have still this tendency to eat less, but then I see that eating less actually is counterproductive in the gym because I don't have the strength to do what I need to do. So depending on your goal, on whatever dream that you have and you want to achieve for yourself, I think now I've started seeing food as not only a tool to get to whatever goal I need to get to, but also a moment that should be considered as sacred as working out, as, you know, bettering yourself or taking care of your mental health. Because at the end of the day, depending on where you're from, tradition and all, like being Italian, food is so important, you know. So it becomes this moment where family meets and friends meet, and so you just have to shift your perspective. Food can be a tool, can be something that allows you to indulge in something pleasurable, but of course, just like some extremes, it can also harm you. But that depends on your perspective and how you use it. So instead of finding the ways to, you know, be angry with yourself or feeling, you know, sad about a decision you made when it comes to food, just accept that it was a day where you tried your best and it didn't work out, but you still have tomorrow to try again and see if it's going to be better. And down the line, that's the most important thing that you can do. Just as you said, take one step a day, one step at a time, and eventually everything will fall into place. So now, after 7 years of working out, I have my days and I accept the bad days as much as I accept the good ones, you know. So I think that's the main thing, to have this balance. And always to remember as well that life is meant to be lived. You know, we're not just here to be a certain weight, a certain height, a certain color, you know, so it can be applied to so many other things.
And also, coming back to your passion in astronomy, would you like to talk about that a little? Then how did you develop that passion, and also your North Star code or role model, or something that you always look upon to when it comes to getting inspiration? Because I think we all have, as I said, we were just talking that we all have those days when we feel a bit suppressed and we feel like, is it really worth it what we are doing? And in this whole cosmos, we are just so tiny. Why are we really bothering ourselves so much? I keep thinking about it, that why this too much of struggle? too much of hardships we take on ourselves.
It is.
Yeah. So share some insights from that point of view.
Well, I think that well, my passion started when I was a child, and my father pointed a telescope to the moon. And for the first time, I saw the moon, and I was like, not the first time, but like
From
it
the
was
telescope.
very close. Yeah.
Close.
So I said, "Oh my God, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, ever." And I don't know, it sparked something inside of me that led down the years to just reading about it, learning about it, and make sure that I knew everything I could possibly read, listen, or see about about astronomy. But it's such an endless, you know, type of study that you can do, and there's so many facets of it, so you never get bored. And as a person, I have this tendency to be very hyperactive when it comes to my brain and the kind of curiosity that I have, so it feeds my curiosity, which is amazing. So in all of that, I always ended up asking myself the same question: what is the purpose of all of this? Why should I go, for example, to the gym and deadlift twice the weight of my body and risk an injury, or whatever we do, even working or waking up every morning? And then I stumbled upon this book from Stephen Hawking, The Grand Design, which was an unexpected view on life and the universe. And one of the final parts of this book, Stephen Hawking was mentioning how humans are attracted to the idea of having a higher power, like a god or something. And since the universe is so fine-tuned for life, there must be someone, who built all of that for us.
Yeah.
And he literally broke my heart, because he said that it's all a result of evolution. There's no, at least that's his opinion, there's no way someone could have built all of this, and it's just a result of the Big Bang.
Yeah.
In that moment, for how crushed I was, because it was such a crushing realization, I said, well, if there's no purpose in the whole universe, then I believe, at least for me, that the most important thing I can do, considering how the world is to be the best version of myself. Because I may not be able to stop all the bad that's happening in the world, but I can work on myself in a way that I am an addition to the good in the world. And that is, I think, my biggest inspiration every single day, because I feel it's so much harder to be, at least for me, to be mean to other people, to be completely cold when it comes to other people's emotions. So I believe that no matter what is there, no matter what you believe in, it's the best way you can be, because why should I be anything else when I am surrounded by such beauty? And for me, the beauty is not only our planet and the relationships we have with our friends, is the whole of universe. So if I decided to be, let's say, an ugly human being in the soul beauty that surrounds me, it would be such a disgrace to what life means,
Beautifully
so
said.
Even if there's no purpose, life itself, it's such a wonderful spark, and that's my duty, to be the best version I can be for others, for myself, for my son, for my friends. And I think that's how you help others as well.
Wow, love you for all what you have just said. Incredible. Would you believe I have read Stephen Hawking's book, in which he talks about the dark holes? So in that as well, like the reporter, I think the reporter who was interviewing him at that point in time, he mentions the same thing. I think it's mentioned in most of his books, that it's all Big Bang. There is no God. There is nobody controlling you. And as I said, like, it literally hurts you. It did hurt me too, because coming from a spiritual background, from Hinduism, reading Gita, Mahabharata, and all those ancient scriptures, and my parents brought me up in that ritualistic environment, and a lot of Hindu practices were going on. We worship Rama, Krishna, and different gods. It literally kind of, it's there in my head that I need to find out what the reality is. Yeah, what the spirituality is. In Hinduism we talk about, and Jesus talks about, and all these scriptures. And here on the other side, Stephen Hawking says there's nothing like that. There is nothing governing you. So that's something I would really like to explore myself, that what is the real truth. And I think we still continue to think about every day. There is a thought in my head, just a tiny thought, what is it? That curiosity to explore it, what it is after all. And I'm thinking about my life every day, connecting to that same thought, that what it is, which I still have to figure out.
I think in that sense, you can think of it as a kaleidoscope.
Okay.
All of us, through so many different ways, whether it's religion, astronomy, science, biology, even anatomy, you can see this pattern of perfection, of beauty, of fine-tuned life for achieving this, moment of spark, which is life itself. And so some people may study so many other things, but somehow I've noticed how we all get to the same conclusion. So we're all looking from different perspectives, but we're all looking at the same thing. So it doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there. And the moment you have discovered what your truth is, there's nothing that can, hinder your progress or alter the course of whatever is it that you're meant to find, So just choose a path, be consistent, have trust, have faith in that, and just keep going. And once you find your truth, just shine bright with that. We find ourselves in such a conflicting and interesting time, because for the first time we're having discussions about topics that before were mostly a taboo, especially, we still have maybe this issue in a lot of countries where certain things aren't being discussed and everything, but at least in the Eastern world, and I believe somehow even in Africa and a little bit in Asia, there's certain topics that are starting to, arise, and more people are talking about it, whether it's relationship between men and women and so on. So it's an interesting time. And I think that the most important thing we could do as women is not only, shield ourselves from the word in this label of being a feminist or not. I think the most important thing is to rely on the uniqueness that we have, no matter if you're a woman or a man. So if your uniqueness is about being able to empathize with other people, please use that empathy to make the world a better place. And women will always be maybe in a very conflictual position, but we have to remember what we're made of. We're literally the ones who can bring life into the world. We're portals in a way. We're stronger than what we think, and most of the time there's always a woman behind a great progress. Even in astronomy, a lot of the discoveries were made by women. So no matter if our names are being said or mentioned in books and history, we still make the difference. Because even if we didn't, we weren't there doing exactly what were asked of us, maybe she or her was the mother of this man who changed the world. So somehow the power is within us.
It always goes back to the woman. Wow. Incredible again. And I remember when we were in the gym one day, you shared one of the lessons with me, or how should I say, it's one of the thoughts of yours, that how a person should enter the gym and what should be the mindset of that person should be. So would you like to say it in your own words?
I think the most important thing you can do when you step into the gym, even if it's the first 100th day, doesn't matter, leave your ego at the door. Because when you step into the gym, it's literally you against gravity.
Yeah.
And you against yourself. Because the type of body that you can earn after years of working out, or even any form of sport activity, is not something that anyone can take away from you. But it comes with humility. So I always try to remember to myself, like I have days as well where I go into the gym and I really want to be stronger than what I am, you know. But at the end of the day, I'm like, what's the point? If I have made a small progress from a week to week or a day to day, I am closer to whatever goal I'm trying to achieve. And it's fantastic how with any form of activity you can just shift yourself in all possible ways, and it's a never-ending search for this moment of happiness. So I don't think it's about the goal itself. I think working out, training, all sorts of activities, physical activities, the beauty of it is the journey.
Yeah.
It's what you do while you're doing it. And being humble about it is the best way you can achieve this.
Just going back to the COVID times, because it was the most toughest time for gym goers. Okay, so would you like to talk a little about how was it? How did you combat that time? How did you keep yourself strong? And how did you, when the lockdown finished off, how did you transition back into the gym? Yeah.
I find that it was hard, of course, for that sense of community, first of all, because going to the gym, a lot of people just don't consider this. There's a lot of community going into the gym. The people that you see every day somehow keep you accountable if you don't come, you know, because sometimes you're gonna have that gym goer telling you, oh, I haven't seen you in a week, how are you? So it's like a nice, I check on you, you check on me kind of thing. So that was what I missed the most. But since I had a lot of time to focus on myself and we couldn't go to the gym and everything, I promised to myself to focus on my diet, because of course that was the only thing I could control in that time. And I knew I didn't have the chance to work out the way I could have, so I would take myself to walks, and I even tried at the beginning to work out the way I would do with like resistant bands and all of that, but I rapidly saw that it wasn't the same thing. But somehow focusing on my diet gave me the same kind of, you know, discipline to just keep on doing whatever I was doing. And then once we were allowed to go back to the gym, of course, it was a great moment of happiness. But I also see how things have shifted from before COVID times and after. So before, I think we had less of this community type of behavior. And after COVID, instead, there was such a booming of this need for human contact, but in a very simple way. And that's actually how we started talking, basically, you know. So I believe that, like, the most important thing that I did for this transition, again, was to hold on to my humility, because clearly I didn't have the same strength that I had before COVID. And it was a very humbling experience, because I had to start, I wouldn't say from scratch, but almost, you know. So it was kind of funny to see how my body was reacting to it, how much strength I had lost. But all in all, I can say that, of course, I've been training for years, so it took me at least a little over a month to go back to the same type of intensity. But it was very funny, because I remember the first leg day, I did 2 exercises and I was shaking.
Truly.
Whereas now, of course, with my normal days, I do my 3 hours and I'm shaking. So, like, I appreciate how my body at my age, because being 35 and being fit has its own, you know, connection. One thing I can say is I'm a mom, and that should be, let's say, the most important thing about me. But one thing that the gym has taught me, or at least physical activity has taught me, is that always try to find something that you love for yourself. To this day, I still have butterflies when I go to the gym. It's as if I'm going to meet my crush. So I think we should all find this. What gives you butterflies? And if you find that, just chase it and let it bring you to whatever you need to be.
Beautiful. So beautiful. This is one of the most wonderful conversations I have had. Oh my God. Love you for everything you have said so far. Love you for the person you are.
I think that when it comes to doing too many things at once and you find yourself struggling and you have to kind of run this little wheel like an hamster, I think you should stop for 1 second, get back to the perspective of how you know, you're such a tiny human being and you're trying to do so much at once. And I think we should try to appreciate more how us being so small have such a big impact on other people. Because one thing you have said maybe 3 years ago is still stuck with someone, and they're bringing these words in their mind as a tiny picture in their, you know, wallet, reminding them of like, oh, I could be greater than this, so tomorrow I'll do better, you know. So for as small as we can be, we can make such a huge difference, you know.
Absolutely. Beautifully said again.